Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. My name is Marian Guevara and welcome to all of you new subscribers, any returning subscribers. Today is going to be a very late video and that is the mid-year freakout book tag. So for those who are unfamiliar with this tag, it's basically a way for you to check in on a person's reading. Normally this is done in like June, like in the midway point, but I had some other videos I needed to film before that, but I'm finally getting to this tag. So I had a bit of a hard time with this tag because I've only read 19 books so far this year, and because of that it was very slim pickings with my answers for the questions, but I feel that I managed quite well. So the first question is the best book you've read so far in the year 2022, and for that I will show you my 2 out of 3 5-star reads so far. So the first one I have is Tender is the Night by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I went in more detail into my thoughts about this book in my last Then Now Later update, but yeah, it was one of my 5 stars this year, heavily tabbed, and yeah, this and The Great Gatsby are kind of vying for my favorite Fitzgerald. My second favorite book of this year and my second 5-star read was The Violent Bear It Away by Flannery O'Connor. This is her second and final novel she ever penned. This one follows a young man who, upon the death of his preacher great-uncle, is kind of left in the fork in the road, both spiritually and morally, and we're basically sort of like following his decision and what path he aims to take. So yeah, I'll talk about this in a future video, but it's O'Connor, it's tabbed. O'Connor never disappoints. So yeah, this and Tender is the Night were 2 out of my 3 favorite books of this year. The second question is the best sequel you've read so far in 2022, and this is my third 5-star read, but it's also the only sequel I've read so far, and that is The Storm of Echoes by Christelle Debos. Once again, I have talked extensively about this book, both in my last update and an entire video about the Mirror Visitor Quartet. So this is the 4th and final installment in Christelle Debos' Mirror Visitor Quartet. This is sort of, yeah, the controversial last book, but I really enjoyed it. Highly recommend the entire series. So for those who haven't, please pick it up. So the third question is a new release that you haven't gotten to yet, but did you want to? And for this question, I had to cheat because I don't keep up with new releases. So this book, while it hasn't been released this year, the edition that it comes in has. And that is America is in the Heart by Carlos Bulosan. And this is the Penguin Vitae edition. So for those who are unfamiliar with this book, we're following a Filipino migrant in the 1930s. He migrates from the Philippines to California and gets involved in sort of like the immigrant labor force there. And while he is working in California, he goes through some racial abuse, and it's about him dealing with this racial abuse and sort of reconciling it with his belief in the ideals of the American dream. Hence the title, America is in the Heart. So yeah, I plan on getting to this. This has been on the TBR for quite a while, but I know this is going to be a sad book, so I just don't want to put myself through it right now. So yeah, that's number 3. So number 4 is most anticipated release of the second half of this year, and luckily I do have an answer for this. I don't normally follow up on anticipated releases, but I am interested in The Spear Cuts Through Water by Simon Jimenez, and it's coming out in August 30th of this year. So I'll just read you, I have written here, the Goodreads blurb. It says, 2 warriors shepherd an ancient god across a broken land to end the tyrannical reign of a royal family. So I've been really into watching a lot of Elden Ring playthroughs, and I've been really wanting to get my hands on some high fantasy. I doubt they'll ever put out like book material on Elden Ring, but like I said, I just want my hands on some high fantasy, and this is high fantasy. And just the talk about a tyrannical family, you know, a god, I don't know, it just reminds me a bit of Elden Ring. So looking forward to reading from Simon Jimenez. This would be my first time reading from him, so yeah, looking forward to that. Not to mention that the cover is gorgeous as well, so that also played into my intrigue on it. But yeah, this sounds very interesting. Number 5 is Biggest Disappointment, and that would have to be Howard's End by E.M. Forster. So Howard's End follows 3 families that occupy sort of 3 different strata within society. So you have like a very rich family, I think the Wilcoxes, you have the middle class Schlegels, and then you have Leonard Bast, who's him and his wife are sort of, you know, kind of on the verge of poverty, and how their lives all intersect. There were many things that I did enjoy about this book. I did like the way that E.M. Forster approached each of these families with nuance. He didn't portray the Wilcoxes as villains, you know, because they're rich or anything like that. He didn't over-idealize the middle-class Schlegel sisters. And I think he did a good job of portraying their viewpoints and how they were affected by their upbringing. And I also thought the book had very insightful thoughts on various different topics: politics, art, economics, some that I agreed with. However, I had no emotional connection to anyone or anything in the book, and without that emotional connection, Howard's End ended up being just paragraphs upon paragraphs on very insightful rhetoric on different types of topics, which is fine, but I just got bored. I DNF'd it halfway. I thought I could, you know, push myself through it, but every time I looked at it, I just couldn't handle going back to it. I didn't think it was worth my time, so I ended up just DNFing it and even giving it away or selling it. So yeah, Howard's End was a bit of a disappointment. I have read Room with the View. I just think that Forster isn't an author, a classic author for me, so yeah. Number 6 is Biggest Surprise, and I would give that to Ghosts by Edith Wharton. This was a surprise in twofold, because I didn't really expect Edith Wharton to be penning ghost stories. She's normally known for her stories regarding like the upper class New York society during like the early 20th century, late 19th century, that sort of thing. So I didn't know she had also written ghost stories, and also around the same time as H.P. Lovecraft, so they were sort of contemporaries in a sense. But I was also surprised with how much I enjoyed these works. I knew going in that I wasn't gonna get any like scares like Lovecraft or even Poe, but her stories are incredibly well written and enjoyable and very thought-provoking as well. I don't think I talked about this in the Now Later update, but I will definitely do so because I really enjoyed it. A lot of the horror or the scares aren't necessarily supernatural, they're not, but they're sort of compounded or come from a sort of societal issue or societal problem. And I think it's done in a very tasteful, insightful way. And I have several favorite ones. Let me look at some of my favorites. For instance, Pomegranate Seed, Afterward was really good, A Bottle of Perrier. Yeah, there were some that I really enjoyed. So, pretty surprised I enjoyed it as much. So, House of Mirth and Ghosts are 2 winners for me for Edith Wharton. Number 7 is Favorite New Author, and I've been rereading authors this year, from Fitzgerald to Morrison to Hardy. So, I can't say I have a favorite new author. I have read authors that are new to me, but I can't say they're favorites because I've only read one of the works. So, kind of cheating with this question, but these are new authors to me that I am looking forward to reading from some more. And they are both Johns. So we have John Steinbeck and John Wyndham. I've read Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. If you don't know about it, it's basically a short heartbreak. And then I've read The Midwich Cuckoos by John Wyndham. Very intriguing, fascinating, and I'm looking forward to reading more from both of these Johns for sure. Number 8 is Newest Fictional Crush. I would normally say Thorn, but I don't know, he's not new. So I guess we'll have to go with Swithin in Two on a Tower. Swithin here is sort of a young 20-ish, early 20-ish aspiring astronomer, astrologer who gets the eye or attracts the eye of Lady Constantine, even though he's completely unaware because he's so enraptured with his study and work. It kind of reminds me of Victor from Arcane, and I don't know, apparently there's just something about smart men who are emotionally unavailable. Apparently that's just a type, so yeah, Swithin from Two on a Tower. So number 9 is Newest Favorite Character, and honestly, I know this is lame, but I'm gonna have to say not applicable because I have scoured all the books that I have read, and it's just repeating characters. A lot of the books that I've read this year have been sort of depressing and dark, so I don't know. I just couldn't find any. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say not applicable. It's lame, but yeah. Well, number 10 is book that made you cry. I'm gonna have to give it to Two on a Tower again, mainly because it's Thomas Hardy, and I don't know. Normally, I would scoff at some melodrama, but Thomas Hardy makes it work. Like, he's the only author I feel like who can pull off melodrama for me and can make me get invested. And while I didn't necessarily cry, I did kind of tear up a bit. This story is about star-crossed lovers, sort of like forbidden romance. So yeah, I talked about this in depth in my Then Now Later update as well. So if you want to know more about my thoughts, go check out the video. But yeah, Two on a Tower. Number 11 is a book that made you happy. And honestly, there's so many. This is just like a horrible year for happy book. I've been reading, Hardy. I've read Beloved by Toni Morrison. I've read Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. It's not a year for the happy so far. But I guess the closest one would have to be The Last Unicorn by Peter S. Beagle. The classic fantasy book about a unicorn on a search for her lost kind. But even then, this has some pretty sad, bittersweet moments. It's like the type of sad where you've grown up and you've realized you lost something and you're never getting it back. That sort of feeling. But the ending is, bittersweet, but I feel like it ends on a subtle, hopeful, bittersweet note. So I would consider this to be an overall happy book. It's, I think, the most happy book I've read so far in this year, for sure. Number 12 is the most beautiful book you bought or received this year, and that will easily go to The Last Tycoon by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This is the last book I needed in the sort of Art Deco foiled Fitzgerald series that was designed by Corley Bickford Smith. Just look at that shiny foil. Love the copper. The Last Tycoon was Fitzgerald's technically last book, technically not. It's unfinished, basically. He never finished it. He died before he can finish it. And so on the back side, you see it has like the removable or detachable bookmark that says, "At both ends of life, man needed nourishment, a breast, a shrine, something to lay himself beside." So yeah, looking forward to eventually reading The Last Tycoon. So yeah, this one I picked up from Book Depository, and it's gorgeous. And I guess, you know what, I can also include America's in the Heart as well as beautiful book category. I love the blue and the yellow. It's meant to resemble the sun that you can find on the Filipino flag. So yeah, also gorgeous. So the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of this year? So I have quite a number, but so I'm just gonna rattle them off quickly. We have Roadside Picnic by the Strugatsky brothers. Ever since watching Stalker by Andrei Tarkovsky, I've been meaning to read the book that it was based off of, so need to get to this. I've heard really good things about Roadside Picnic. I do want to read some Clark Ashton Smith, so I need to get to Dark Eidolon and other fantasies as well. And then this was featured in my Then Now Later update, I need to get to Seven Ascends. I've been putting this one off mainly because it's the first in the series, and I don't know, if I really end up liking it, I know I'm going to want to get the second and the third and the fourth, and I kind of want to get through some of my older TBR first. So yeah, but that's just a few of the books that I plan on getting to, that I do wish to get to. I do want to also get to Anna Karenina, but we'll see about that. Who knows if that will be, feasible. But yeah, that is my mid-year freak out book tag. I'm sorry if I kind of was rushing through the questions a bit. There's 13 questions, and I kind of don't want to put out a very long video. But anyway, those are my answers. I hope you enjoyed this little check-in on how I've been, how my reading has been going. And I look forward to hearing some of your answers to these questions and how your reading year has been going as well. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye!